Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaputale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we just finished studying Kaliya. Today we start with Uddhava. Would you like to read, Taruni? If you are...
Yeah, I'm fine, Mataji. Uddhava next described how Krishna checked Indra's pride by stopping the cowherd man's annual Indra worship. On Krishna's advice, the cowherd community redirected their worship to Govardhan Hill, where the villagers' cows would graze. Indra was infuriated by this insult. Desiring revenge, he ordered the terrible Samvartaka clouds, which bring about universal devastation, to flood Vrindavan and drown all its inhabitants. The entire community ran to Krishna for protection from the dreadful downpour. Krishna, who was only 7 years old at that time, picked up Govardhan Hill, holding it up as a mighty umbrella to shield them. Uddhava then described the rasa dance with the gopis, the cowherd maidens of Vrindavan, which Krishna enjoyed during the full moon evening in the autumn season. At the time, both the gopis and Krishna were only 8 years old. Attracted by the pleasing songs of his flute, the young girls left their homes in the dead of the night to dance with him. Remembering the gopis, whose intense devotion he had personally witnessed, Uddhava became inert, overpowered by ecstasy. On recovering his senses, he said, "Please listen as I recount Krishna's pastimes in Mathura." The Lord's pastimes out of Vrindavan. Do you want to comment on the Govardhan Leela or this Rasa dance, the gopis' love for Krishna, Mataji?
Do you have any thoughts?
I was thinking like how all these people, even though he was just a small boy, they just trusted, and then because of that intense, love for him, they trusted and they went under a huge mountain, a huge hill, Govardhan Hill. So I was just thinking how much of implicit faith they had in Krishna and how the Lord actually protected, right? So that was something which I was thinking.
Yeah, this is interesting where Uddhava is saying when he personally witnessed the intense devotion of the gopis, he became inert, overpowered by ecstasy. And I'm thinking how, in these groups, when we inspire each other, our realizations, the way we are dedicated, the way we surrender to Krishna, how it inspires others and how the others' dedication inspires us. It really is the point of Krishna consciousness. It's the actual nectar, that kind of loving exchanges. When we say loving exchanges between devotees, this is such it's like this is like the core of that loving exchange, sharing our hearts, revealing our minds in confidence about the realizations we have about Krishna and our faith in Krishna. So it feels like we are part of Krishna's Leela when we are able to confidentially share our realizations about Krishna with other devotees. It feels like that sense of belonging to Krishna, that sense of belonging to Krishna's world. It's it's experienced in these moments of interactions.
Wow, I never thought about it like that. Like, wow. Yeah, that's true. Like how he's recounting all these great devotees and he's like so mesmerized. Even in our day-to-day interactions, when we are like revealing our heart to like intimate, like our devotees who are close to us, then it's the same thing. Of course, we're not at that level of their devotion, but we're again being part. We are sharing our experiences because it's Krishna in the center. So very similar to that experience, right? Wow, so nice. Thank you.
And yesterday I was reading something about how it's important for us to be grateful for every little thing, how Krishna intervenes in our life, how he arranges for something. If every little thing, there is nothing little and there is nothing too big for Krishna. That's the point of Govardhan Leela in one sense. There is nothing little, there is nothing big. Similarly, even in our life, like you were saying, we may not be at that level of bhava or whatever. At the same time, wherever we are at, there is Krishna there. As much as we are open, Bhavagrahi Janardhan, as much as we are letting Krishna in, he is acting, right? He's acting in our life. And it is Krishna. There is nothing like little or small. It's the same Krishna. It's the same Krishna that the gopis were intensely devoted to. And it's the same Krishna that Uddhava is feeling ecstatic to look at the interactions. Is the same Krishna. So we may not be at that level, but Krishna is always high. I mean, Krishna is always perfect and complete, right? He's the Purusha who's perfect and complete. So even every little interaction that gives us the taste, like me, I heard the other day some devotee sharing about their realization with Krishna. We did an exercise in my house with a program. It was so sweet to see the way Krishna interacts with devotees, how he organized for her to come to Mayapur, different, all those life-changing situations that Krishna creates, and only Krishna can do that. And it's amazing how personally aware Krishna is, how much importance he gives, how considerate he is to each and every jiva. It's amazing, even if we are not on that level of the gopis, he still cares for us. He never gives up on us. His attempts to heal our broken heart is like unlimited as his mercy is. He doesn't say, you become better, then I'll intervene in your life. No, he's always there. He's always intervening. It's like a very insignificant event looking at the larger view of life. One of my cousins lives in the US and he works for Intel. And he never really appreciated Krishna consciousness. He never really like, oh, she wasted her life, threw away everything and just became a Hare Krishna devotee. So that's like my family's opinion about me in general, right? They're like, she's not making anything in life. She's like, I don't know what she's doing. So that was the opinion. And I'm like blissfully engaged in Bhagavatam, like that. That was my life. And I was doing what I love doing. So it's amazing how when you touch Krishna, when you want to touch Krishna, how Krishna touches you, kind of stories. One day he suddenly writes me an email and he says, whatever it is that you're doing, you must be doing something great. And I'm like, okay, what does that have to do? How is this suddenly an insignificant time waster, unsuccessful person? Why is he saying this to me like that? And then he said, well, this morning I had an appointment with my boss and I went into his room and he was busy. And he said, please come back later. I'm watching one of my favorite classes. It's from Mayapur. And my cousin got all alert, like, because I live in Mayapur. So he was like, Mayapur? Actually, my cousin lives there. And then he said, oh, I see. I listened to this lady and she's so good. Because this boss apparently is from Karnataka. So then he was like, oh, I really listened to that. And then the guy said, oh, even my cousin gives classes. And then the boss asked him, what's your cousin's name? And my cousin said, Lakshmi, because that's my karmi name, my legal name. And then he said, oh, okay. This lady is called Sri Radha Govinda. and then my cousin was like, oh. But the cousin is like, oh my, but actually that's my cousin. But he said, but just now you said another name. And then they were like trying to figure out, and then he said, can I see her? And then so the boss had this huge computer in the Intel CEO, not CEO, the boss, I don't know what you call them. The guy in the like headquarters head or whatever. So he had this big screen, and in that big screen, he was watching my Bhagavatam class from Mayapur. Then my cousin went and he said, this is my cousin. This is like and the moment of pride for him that, his boss, who's never impressed with anything. And so he wrote me like a long letter after like 20 years or 25 years or something, saying, my boss is never pleased with anybody. He's hardly impressed and and he's a huge fan of yours. And he has watched every single class of yours and blah, blah, blah. And I was just thinking, only Krishna could do this. Nobody else could do this. All the way in America, all the way to some guy who's not an ISKCON devotee, right? And to do this. And then my cousin writing that, it's a huge act of humility. My cousin is like really proud guy. He would not really write this, but he had to write it to just, say that, look, this guy is that. So I was thinking it made a huge difference to me in my relationship with Krishna, if not my relationship with my cousin or whatever, right? The point was about how Krishna has his, Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti. He has his eyes and hands and legs everywhere, in your life, in your events as well. So it's amazing how that potency of Krishna works in our life, even if we are not ready, and even if we are only very little bit open and not so open. Imagine if we were completely open. Imagine if we let ourselves become 100% his instrument. What amazing miracles can be achieved. And that can be seen through our great acharyas, right? Prabhupada, what Krishna could do through us is way bigger than what we can try to do on our own alone. Because we can struggle all life and we cannot even lift a stone, lift a rock, little small rock. But through Krishna, the whole, the bridge to Lanka can be built, the Setu Bandha can be built, and the stones can float on water just because of the potency of the holy name. So that's the power of holy name of Krishna. ನಾಮ ಒಂದೇ ಯಮನಾಳ್ಗಳನ್ಮೊದೆದು ಅಜಾಮಿಳನಿಗೆ ಸುಕ್ಷೇಮವನಿತ್ತಂತ. So one holy name, just one holy name, Narayana, it completely saved Ajamil's existence and he gave him a second chance. And then he could rededicate his life and go back to Godhead. Like that, what to speak of, having faith in Krishna, what miracles it can do if one holy name of Krishna chanted even inadvertently, not even with the bhava that we're talking about here, can save us from hellish, scary, hellish condemnation. If it can save us, what amazing things can be done if we just let go and let Govinda, right?
That's so beautiful, Mataji. That's so beautiful. And I was just reading Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj is saying how God's mercy is beyond the laws. Here everything happens because of some material laws, right? There is a karma, there is a reaction to it. That's how it is. But Krishna's love, his love and his mercy is beyond all these laws, Sometimes we hear this statement that, you'll get what you deserve, just like that, right? Whatever we deserve is exactly what we'll get. But then his mercy, his love is so much. It can cross and break all these kind of, you deserve this, so I'll give you only so much. It's not like that. Just like how how we were discussing the other day about how Garnatai, right? They have come and they are just giving us the key to go back to Golok Vrindavan, which is not, it was not even possible in other yugas. They're all going back only to Vaikuntha. Here we are given entrance to Golok Vrindavan by their mercy. It's not even seeing who's fit and who's not unfit, right? So their mercy is just so unlimited. It's beyond these material laws. Sometimes we think that God is just like, he's just like, you do this, you'll get this. This is God's laws, this is how we're supposed to do. But he is, I feel in the scriptures and what Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj also is like, how beautifully he's explaining. His love and his mercy is beyond these laws.
So true. And so important to understand that, because fear and guilt and shame, they're not useful in devotional progress. So sometimes we're so scared, oh, I'm not doing this, so Krishna may not be taking care of me. The guilt and the shame, oh, I made this mistake. But Krishna is like, those things don't count to him. And like these girls, right, who just, they were so attracted by Krishna's flute. They just left everything and went. So for us, sometimes it's not even about leaving home at all, right? It's just leaving our own prison house of our own mentality and our own self-made restrictions that block us. It's not even Krishna, or it's just our own mind, the prison of our own mind. Okay, somebody else likes to read the Lord's pastime out of Vrindavan. Rasastali, would you like to read?
Okay, I'll read. The Lord's pastimes out of Vrindavan. Uddhava describes Krishna's pastimes in Mathura and Dwarka, including his final pastime of departure from the world. The sun was low in the sky, and the cowherds could be heard calling farewells to each other as they slowly returned to their homes after a long day. Striding home in pairs or groups, they talked excitedly about the day's news. The chief topic of interest was the arrival of Prince Akrura from Mathura. Why had royalty come to their small hamlet, Vrindavan? Meanwhile, Akrura was being warmly received by King Nanda, the head of the cowherd community. After resting, he was served a sumptuous meal replete with succulent dishes prepared from the milk of Vrindavan's prize cows. As the sky outside became dark, Akrura sat in Nanda's spacious reception room along with Nanda's two foster sons, Krishna and Balram. Kamsa was found out of that Krishna is Vasudev's son. He said the cruel monarch has again arrested him along with his wife Devaki and cast them into the palace dungeon. Turning towards Krishna, he said, "The king has sent me here to bring you to Mathura to compete in a public wrestling match. He plans to kill you." Krishna and Balram both chuckled. Desiring to please his birth parents, Vasudeva and Devaki, who resided in Mathura, Krishna agreed to go with Akrura. "I shall come too," said Balram, and Nanda also said he would go. When the other cowherds heard that Krishna was leaving, they also decided to accompany him. The next morning, great wagons were loaded with milk products to offer as tribute to King Kamsa, and with Akrura's chariot bearing the divine brothers at the head, the procession set off. The cowherd girls and women of Vrindavan wailed piteously to see Krishna go, but he promised them that he would soon return. The next day, Krishna and Balrama, accompanied by their friends, strolled along Mathura's broad streets. Laughing and joking, they approached the vast stadium where the wrestling match was to take place. When he heard that the brothers had arrived, Kamsa felt his body tense up. Finally, he faced his nemesis, how either he or Krishna would die. He turned towards the huge wrestlers who stood like so many mountains behind him. You are the finest fighters in my kingdom. I have many times rewarded you with honor and wealth. The time has come for you to repay me. Go forth and kill my enemy. The powerful men glanced at Krishna, who stood arm in arm with his older brother Balram. Standing amid their friends at the stadium entrance, the two youths were admiring their opulent surroundings. The leading wrestler, Chanura, chuckled. No problem, my lord. They are just weak boys. Calling out a challenge to Krishna, the wrestlers strode down to the arena, their thunderous steps shaking the earth. Krishna turned and calmly faced them along with Balram. Despite the boys' slight stature and tender years, Kamsa's fighters began to tremble. On Kamsa's order, the fight commenced. With swift moves and astonishing strength, the two brothers killed the mighty wrestlers one after another. Those not slain fled for their lives.
Jai. That's such a beautiful sight. Mushtika chura chanura malla malla visharada madhusudana. Mushtika shura chanura malla malla visharada kuvalaya pita mardana kalinga nadana gokula rakshana sakala sulakshana deva. Sishta janapala sankalpa kalpa kalpa shatakoti asama parabhava Vira Muni Jana Vidhara Madana Sukumara Daitya Samhara Deva. The song goes on and on and on, but this is the essence of what we're reading. It's how Krishna and Balaram killed the Mushtika and Chanura's demons, and he also danced on Kalia. And he is the protector of all the sages and saints and great devotees. And he is the destroyer of the demons. And when we say demons, let's remember our anarthas, which represents these demons are represented. The demons represent, how do you call it? Is it the anarthas that represent the demons, or is it the demons that represent the anarthas? How do I put it? I'm confused right now. These anarthas are, or these demons are, no, the anarthas are represented by demons, right? I suppose. Okay, let's read a little bit more.
Kamsa leapt up, shouting to the ranks of soldiers surrounding the arena. Drive these two boys out of Mathura. Plunder their riches. Kill Nanda, the traitor Vasudeva, and my father Ugrasen. Krishna glared at Kamsa. He vaulted over the parapets to where the king stood shouting his commands. Seizing him by the hair, Krishna dragged him into the wrestling arena and pummeled him to death with his bare fists. Vasudeva, Devaki, and Nanda sat on the edge of their seats as they watched. To reassure them that Kamsa was dead, Krishna hauled his limp and bloodied body around the arena. After Kamsa's death, Krishna and Balarama remained in Mathura with Vasudeva and Devaki, who arranged for their spiritual initiation from sage Garga. It was time for their education. Surrounded by armed guards from Mathura, they rode in a royal chariot to the ancient town of Avantipura, where the great teacher Sandipani Muni's school was located. Here Krishna and Balaram were trained in statecraft, military skills, the arts, and many other disciplines. They proved to be highly adept pupils, mastering their lessons after hearing them once. In 64 days, they fully assimilated the entire curriculum comprising of the 64 arts and sciences required for leaders. Sandipani beamed with joy to have such wonderful students. I am blessed indeed, he said, as they bowed before him at the end of their studies. Now we must offer you dakshina, said Krishna. What would you like? Knowing the boys to be divine incarnations, Sandipani said, some time back my son drowned in the sea. Please return him to me alive. The brothers went at once to the beach where the boy had perished and summoned the ocean deity Samudra. When the god came before them, they asked for the boy's return. He replied, I did not take him. He was swallowed by the demon Panchjanya, who dwells in my depths. Krishna dived into the sea and found the demon, whose body was in the shape of a conch shell. He slew him, but did not find the boy in his belly. He then went to the abode of Yamaraj, Lord of Death. The great god offered him all respect and on Krishna's request returned Sandipani's son. The two brothers took him back to the teacher, who after blessing them gave them leave to return to Mathura.
Mm. I'm just wondering why Krishna expected to find a son in the belly of Panchajanya. I mean, it's like he's not going to find the body. The body is not the point, right? The soul is the point. At the same time, I'm thinking how it's pastimes of Krishna he wanted, right? He later, this conch shell became Krishna's conch shell. Panchajanyam Rishikesho Deva Dattam Dhananjaya comes in Bhagavad Gita that Krishna's conch shell is named Panchajanya because of this pastime where he actually got this conch shell. So that Leela is also there. So Krishna, he never does anything without a purpose. That's the point. It's not that, he expected to find the sun, he went there, Panchajanya, and then he saw, he swallowed, he, how do you call it? He did not, he went in the, inside this guy and then he killed this guy and then he didn't find the sun. Oh, failure. I mean, that would be like our situation, right? Oh, we try to find satisfaction in this relationship or in this job or in this place. We go there and things don't work out as we want. And then we say, oh, okay. But that's not Krishna, okay? For Krishna, it's like there is always a purpose. Similarly, when we hand over our life situations to Krishna, when we ask Krishna, when we call Krishna in, even our life circumstances are not meaningless. There's always a purpose. Even if things don't work out our way, there's still Krishna's plan there. There is something there for us. And therefore, when we allow Krishna in, when we let Krishna into our lives, nothing is meaningless, nothing is purposeless. Everything has a reason, and that is Krishna's presence. When Krishna is present, everything has meaning and purpose, even if we cannot see it momentarily. But whereas self-will is the opposite. In self-will, we may think, we want it this way, I want it that way, this will happen, that will happen. But things don't actually, the end result is not what we want. But with Krishna, even if the end result doesn't look like it is not what we wanted, Krishna has achieved something else through that, some other lesson, some other relationship, something else we get like that. So when we attach ourselves with the perfect and complete, even our imperfect, insignificant, incomplete lives derives meaning and purpose. I hope that point is acknowledged. Any questions or comments so far?
Yes, particularly touched like how Sandipani Muni actually blesses Krishna that, you've gone so so far ahead to self-sacrificing and serving the Guru, because of which I bless you that all these teachings that I've taught you will never forget. Of course, he is the Supreme Lord, but then how he's setting precedents for all of us to follow, right? Only by the mercy of the Guru can we ultimately, what do you say? Remember the teachings, apply them, that realization, that full big jnana thing will happen only by that mercy. So I always like that, that part of Sandipani Muni's interaction with Krishna.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. Something came to my mind when you said that. I mean, I just wanted to say, Tarani, what you sent me 2 days ago, those were really nice points. It would be nice if you have any of those, precedent pastimes or related pastimes, you can always share in the Bhagavatam reading so that it will be, everybody can benefit. We know what you shared about Janamejaya, what you shared about other things. It's very, very relevant to what we're reading as well. Yeah, I was remembering the blessings, curse, the other opposite of Karna, no? Like Karna, he dedicated so nicely to Parashurama. He served him and everything, right? He was such a good student, etc. But then he gets cursed when he's discovered that he's not actually a Brahmana. And then it's given the opposite curse, right? To forget everything. And Karna is not an ordinary soul. He's Surya Narayana's son. So the other side of the story, right? It's not about our skills and our talents and our hard work that actually matters. It's our attitude. If we are in an attitude of authenticity, honesty, even Krishna can be. Why can't we be? Sometimes it may feel like people may say, it's a generational curse, we may think that, come on, I can't be humble, I can't be surrendered, I can't just let go and go surrender and let God and all that. It's very difficult for me, But Krishna is showing that even he can. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he can have the attitude of a disciple. He can have an attitude of somebody who is humble. Why can't we? So this is the other side of Krishna showing two things, right? Krishna is all powerful, right? He has all the wealth, all the beauty, but he also has all renunciation. So Krishna not only can slay demons with his fingernails, but he can also demonstrate humility by becoming Parthasarathi. He can become the chariot driver for his devotee. When the chariot owner, he kicks the chariot driver to say, go left or go right. So Krishna puts himself in that kind of humble position where, because, in the battlefield, in the war, it's not you don't have accelerator, or you don't have a left light, right light. It's all physical there. So the warrior has to kick the chariot driver to indicate whether he wants to go left or he wants to go right or he wants to go straight. All those, the speed, etc. It's all with the kicking. So, when we say Parthasarathi, already it's the heart's melt. How could the Supreme Lord just become a chariot driver for Arjuna? So Krishna doesn't have any insecurity complex. He's a very secure person, and he doesn't identify his sense of self-worth with what he does, because he does things out of his mercy and compassion and right attitude. So if he can do it, it's he's not asking us to go and slay demons, right? He's asking us something that even for God, if it's possible to become humble, who do we think we are? Such a powerful God. And he can still be humble and submissive and have the attitude of gratitude and serve the Guru. What is stopping us, right? What is stopping us is our false ego. So it came to my mind when you said Krishna was blessed by the Guru. The blessing represents that it's not just some symbolic representation of guru disciple thing. It's like, wow, for a guru, Krishna, so divine, can become so humble. It is very pleasing, right? Like we were discussing yesterday, when some great devotees, somebody very qualified, they are nice and they're humble and they show a nice attitude, you bless them, right? You bless them, let them continue to flourish, let them touch people's life. May Krishna bless this person. But even however great a person is, if they show attitude, even if they're very qualified in different areas, if they show an attitude and we feel hurt by them, or if we feel neglected, or if we feel that they're boasting, and the blessing doesn't come from our heart, no? We are very purified, we can still pray for them and say, please, Krishna, give them, let them advance, and which can mean also sometimes let them have humility. But we don't say, let the Krishna please humble those poor people. We don't say like that as Vaishnavas. We say, please bless them with everything they need so they can advance and go back to Godhead, even if they're not treating us nicely, right? So the blessings and curses is something very, it comes in our heart, naturally.
Yeah, that's like, so nice. Like the subtle point that you're bringing about the blessing is like so beautiful. I had this question. I never thought about it much. I mean, I've not heard about it, but I always wonder, why did Sandipani Muni, why does he ask for his dead son? He knows as a Brahmana, once the child dies, it's not possible to revive him or to get him. But he, in one sense, he knows that Krishna is Supreme Lord, because of which he could actually, get a dead son back. Was it to just glorify that, yes, see, Krishna is just not an ordinary student? Is that the reason why he asked to just glorify Krishna? Or is there any other subtle reason behind that, Mataji?
My understanding is also, the Akala Mrityaharanam Sarva Vyadhi Nivaranam Vishnu Padodakam Pavanam Shubham. There is this mantra, right? This is from Garuda Purana. When we take Charanamrita of the Lord, Akala Mrityu means untimely death. So when untimely death occurs, we are stuck. We're not progressing in our evolution, so to speak. And so in this case, what apparently seems to have happened is an untimely death. The kid was not supposed to die. And also, it appears to be that he was with Yamaraj. He was not in heaven. You see what I'm saying? There seems to have been a... what do you call? I can't think of the words today. Adjective is there seems to have been a glitch or disruption in this soul's journey towards perfection. And the duty of a father, Guru na sashat, sajano na sashat, pita na sashat, janani na sashat. So one should not become a father or a mother or a guru or a teacher if we cannot deliver the dependent souls towards Krishna consciousness, towards the progress of human existence. So there seems to have been an obstacle, that path. So Sandipani Muni, as a good father, is concerned that this soul who had come as his son is stuck somewhere and the progress is not happening. So it's a very normal, very intelligent, very common sense that he is requesting Krishna to bring him back so he can complete his lessons. Death is a good thing. If that's why they say Dirgayu Bhava. They bless people saying live long, because living long means we complete our lessons. We complete our whatever it is that we need to learn and grow and develop. So these are all principles of living our life properly, fully, so we can actually complete the course of this life and existence. So it is, it is a social custom, right? When somebody dies young, you say, oh, that's so unfortunate, right? Because death is supposed to come as a result of old age. Death is not supposed to come when somebody is a small boy. I don't know how old he was. It doesn't say the age, I think, but it must have been a very small boy, very young boy. So the soul's progress needs to happen properly. So this was an opportunity for him to, son is an extension of the father. So the Sandipani Muni's son is with Yamaraj and needed a second chance, needed another opportunity to progress. That's my understanding.
Yeah, very nice. Yes, I was just like thinking about that King Chitraketu, right? Remember that Harsha Shoka? He's born and then he dies, and then Narada says like he's gone, he's back, and then now he's the son of another parent. I mean, another set of parents. So they'll bring him back, and then when he says that, right, Chitraketu, Maharaj, he'd be like, oh, this is how it is. Like he just gets to know the reality. He's kind of like awakened to it. And here in Sandipani Muni's case, it's like kind of similar, but then here he's given back. Perhaps he already knows it's not like he has to learn that lesson, but he was so concerned about his son's spiritual growth, and that's the reason why for him he gets him back, something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is a lesson about how we are souls. Both the principle in both cases is the same. In the case of Harsha Shoka, also the proof when the child comes back and says, "Hey, I am sorry, Harsha Shoka doesn't come back, right? That's Srivas Thakur's son that comes back and says, oh, no, Harsha Shoka also comes back and he says which father, which mother, which lifetime.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in that case, the soul had already progressed, you see. In that case, the soul had already progressed, and it was not so much of a akala mrityu. It was more like the lifetime's purpose was over, and it was Krishna's will that that child had to leave. And the child had a sadgati. The child already had a safer destination. But in the case of Sandipani Muni's son, it was apparent that he was still with Yamaraj, which means that there was the progress was somehow hampered. So what you were saying, Krishna's mercy is not based on rules. It's not the same rule. It's not like black and white. Everybody who dies young, they will be stuck in Yamaloka is not the principle. Everybody who dies will progress is also not the principle, because it depends on the circumstance, depends on the soul's qualification, etc. But the principle is we are not the body. The principle is Krishna has the power to liberate us, even if there is some death which apparently looks like an untimely death, and Krishna has the ability to bring back if it is the soul's if the soul needs that lifetime. Sometimes it can also happen that Krishna may give a devotee family, devotee body to a soul who may be stuck in heavenly planets or somewhere, so that the soul gets another chance. So like that, the point is we cannot figure out and analyze what Krishna's will is in circumstances, but we need to be open that Krishna is doing the best for everybody, and there's always a plan for everybody. So we don't break our heads figuring out the lower principle. The higher principle is Krishna is all powerful, and Krishna's got the best plan, and the world works according to Krishna's will. That's the principle. Then the secondary principles of social considerations, or what helps us in spiritual life, what doesn't help, what is attachment, and what is in Harsha Shoka's case, his presence in that body was not beneficial, profitable, whatever. But in the case of Gargamuni's son, it was essential for this child to live his life and complete his lifetime. So yeah, we can derive different principles of different pastimes, but the higher principle is always Krishna knows best. Krishna has got all the power, and we are puppets in his hands. We are just, but at the same time, as much as we are puppets, our desires and our will, our motivation, our desires do matter. Krishna does give, in this case, he did care about Sandipani Muni's desire, but also Sandipani, I said Garga Muni previously, I'm sorry. Sandipani Muni's qualification, he did do a great job, right, as a guru. So in one sense, he deserved that benediction. Maybe in Harsha Shoka's case, they didn't deserve it. So yeah, so many considerations we can weigh the pros and cons of what this principle, what's the priority of this principle and what's the priority of another principle. But the principle is we are not this body. The case is we are not this body, and Krishna has got the best interest of every soul. And you know what is another principle here we can derive? That it's great to be children of great people, great devotees like Sandipani Muni, because if we are attached to great souls who can pray for us, we get delivered. So if Sandipani Muni can pray for his son, our mentors, our teachers, our friends who are dear to Krishna, if they pray for us, Krishna hears us. I think that's another beautiful principle we can learn from this.
Yeah, that's so true. Somehow being attached to a pure devotee. Oh yeah, when we become dear to a pure devotee, then we become automatically the recipients of the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Because he says, right, a person who's my devotee, I don't consider them as my devotee. But a person who's a devotee of my devotee, then he is my devotee. Krishna says like that.
Yeah. Chaitanyera dasamui, Chaitanyera das, Chaitanyera dasamui, Ardasera das. I'm the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of Lord Chaitanya. Tomorrow is a very interesting reading because I'm going to share who that Brahmana was. Who was the Brahmana who brought the letter to Rukmini Devi? And I'm going to share some pictures of that person in our Sampradaya. He's one of our acharyas. So I'm going to share that tomorrow. And so until tomorrow, let's meditate. Krishna's Govardhan Leela, Kaliya Damana Leela. Meditate on the conversations between Uddhava and Vidhura. Let's meditate on Krishna killing Mushtika and Chandura. And let's prepare tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Tomorrow's class, you're talking about the morning class or the evening Bhagavatam class, Mataji?
Evening Bhagavatam class.
Oh, evening Bhagavatam. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol Gaura. Hari Bol.
He's so happy. Krishna, Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Rasastali.